welcome to another exciting episode of Unzip, Reboot, and Leave URL podcast. Today, we have someone who started his career in India in Indian civil services, and fair enough, he resigned from there. Then, around 40 years ago, he joined in software division of an electronic company. After that, he went through many experiences, moved to US, became CEO of New SIM Technology, became Thai Global Silicon Valley president, and many other accolades. In 2014, he founded Monta Vista Capital, a venture capital firm in Silicon Valley. Please welcome Venkatesh, Venki Shukla. How are you today, sir?
Thank you for having me on your podcast.
It's my
Looking forward to
pleasure.
the conversation.
Okay, thank you. So, today, with your vast experience in industry, in investment, and in many other places, only we will talk with your venture capital persona. So, all
Okay.
my questions are around that today. Okay.
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
So, the first question is what is the basic difference between angel investors and venture capitalists? We have some vague idea or broad idea about it, and how to decide as a founder whom to approach.
Yeah. No, I think that's every founder has to decide, grapple with that and decide that. Fundamentally, uh, angel investors put smaller amounts of money. They do less diligence, and they typically invest, you see, for for reasons that may not be purely business. It's a it's a friends and family who believe in the founder or who believe in the founding team. They may not know much about the domain. They may not know much about, you see, the technology, but but they believe in the founding team, and they are willing to put in small amounts of money to get the company started. They also they don't have any fiduciary responsibility to anybody else. So the level of oversight is also much less. So that's the angel investing side. The VCs, on the other hand, typically do not invest their own money. They typically invest money that they have raised from other investors. So they have a fiduciary responsibility to other investors. So so they have they have an obligation to do a higher level of diligence before writing check. And having written the check, they have a fiduciary responsibility to make sure that they are doing everything they can to uh, make sure that the company is delivering on its promise, or at least trying to deliver on its promise, and that, to see that money is not being wasted, or not being, put on non-productive, uh, non-mainstream kind of usages of the company. So that's the fundamental difference between an angel investor and an institutional investor. A VC has a fiduciary responsibility to others.
Right. Okay. So that means we used to think like, okay, if we need just a little bit of money to go somewhere and start, then it's angel investors. But as you said, like to make things happen because they have the kind of a responsibility because the money is from somewhere else, they also put a lot of effort into it to make these things happen. Right.
Yeah.
So on that context, what kind of strengths and weaknesses they normally see in a business model?
Huh. You know, the there are a number of different, there are thousands of VCs, and there are, a number of different viewpoints. There are some VCs who say the only thing they care about is the quality and the strength of the founding team. And there are VCs who say that that alone is not enough. You need to look at the market. Is the market ready or is going to be ready in a short order? And is the market size big enough? And then there is another group of investors who think that these two things alone are not enough. The third thing that you need is the is does the founding team have relevant domain expertise of the industry whose problem they're trying to solve? And then people and some VCs go beyond that and they want to look at character of the founders and the chemistry of the founders. How well do they work together? How long have they worked together? Have they worked together professionally before? Or is it something that they went to college together 20 years ago and they were good friends and said, let's start it, but they never worked together. They never understand each other's weakness or strength. So, depending on depending on the
Mhm.
investor, you find different nuances of what they look for.
Right. Okay. So it's not only business model. It can be
Yeah, the
many
business
other
model actually,
factors.
it turns out that some people do look at business model, but in general, the people who write the first checks, the seed level or early stage VCs, they're not as married to the quality of business model because model itself is likely to evolve.
Yes. Yes. Okay. Related to that, so how VCs actually strike a balance between risks and reward, or as you said, like in seed level, it's just mostly purely gut, and from next one, it's like few other things. So how they strike the balance, risks and rewards.
You know, uh, you know, VCs strangely want to minimize their risk. And that's why they look for high quality founders. They look for is a market that's likely to be big. They look for founders who can attract very high quality employees, uh, and on and on and on. So basically, these are all algorithms for reducing risks. But fundamentally, any investment in any startup, especially at the earliest stage, is a high risk proposition. Within that, you try to minimize risk by looking at all the other things.
Right. Okay. Yeah, good way to see it. Yes. So, what are the top qualities VC seek in a founder? It little bit answered it. So, is it which is only idea or individual or both? So, in many cases, it can be both. In many cases, it can be individual. And you already answered it
Yeah,
little bit.
I think ultimately it's I think there are two, three things. Uh, first of all, is the domain expertise and the idea. And the second, but much more important thing is is can he attract to see good quality people? He or she is because ultimately the success of the company will depend on the first 5, 10 employees that the company hires. And in Silicon Valley, there is a saying that the A class people hire A class people, B class people hire C class people, and that thing is it sort of propagates. So it's important that the founding team uh, can attract, very high quality people, to work for them, and that requires two other attributes. One is conviction. uh, very high degree of conviction in what you're doing and why it's going to be successful. And second is ability to articulate that, ability to articulate that and relate it to the individual's life goals. So you say that, hey, you want to be the best, you think you are the best in the world. Well, if you are a cog in the wheel in a big company, no
Mm.
one would know that. So if you are truly the best in the world and you believe that you are best in the world, here is your opportunity. Here you got the blank canvas. So people who are able to attract, you see, good quality employees because they have these two attributes are also very good at convincing investors to put their money in.
All right. Now, as a start, if the startup idea requires immediate funding, okay, because I'm not in that kind of a sector, but if a startup idea required immediate funding, example is let's say semiconductor, just an
Yeah,
example, how to
yeah.
start without having an initial product or traction?
I think so. No, you're right about that. I think semiconductors thing is you need to see infusion of capital right away because you need a big team.
Yeah,
You need to you need to you need to buy tools and all of those kind of things. So I think it really that comes down to the credibility of the team, founding team. And if the team inspires confidence because they have delivered success in their prior life,
mhm,
even if they are part of a big company, but if they have a track record of delivering on complex projects and a track record of leadership, then I think there are VCs you see who would be open to funding them.
right, right. So it's like the previous experience comes into play more than any other things as such. Okay. Um, should startup aim for global scalability from the beginning, or they should satisfy first their ecosystem, like immediate market, and then?
That depends. If you're already in Silicon Valley, if you're already in US, then don't try for anything global. Try to do something, here. You don't need to aim to go global, from day one. On the other hand, if you're in a smaller market like Australia or Israel, then I think the best thing is to sell to the American market from day one because chances are that if you cater your product, for a small market, you may find some initial success at low cost, but that may not scale or that may not appeal to the market in the US. So, so it really depends. If anyone who has ambitions of going global, any company that has ambitions of going global, which typically B2B companies have, they should they should have that mindset from day one.
Yeah. Okay. And in this schema of things, India is also coming these days.
I think it does. I'll tell you, there's another issue with India. In India, what happens is that uh, that when you go to a customer and you're solving a problem, there's a pressure from the customer to solve some other problems, adjacent problems, or some other things associated with that. So the analogy that I use is that in India, there's a customer pressure for you to become a banyan tree, horizontal expansion. Whereas if you hope to be successful in the global market, you have to be like a redwood tree, tall and thin. You're solving one problem and you're solving that problem uniquely and better than anyone else in the market. And you're not doing anything else.
Oh, okay. So one is like this way and one is like that way.
Right.
Okay.
Banyan trees don't go global.
Yes, yes. Okay. Wow. Okay, love it. Okay. Which industries or sectors do you believe are underinvested and can have a massive future? I mean, not outside from Silicon Valley, just as a normal person, what I see is logistic is a massive place. Innovation and all these things should come because it's very expensive to move things from here to there within the country.
I think that's the right one. But in general, if you see where the technology has been adopted earliest, it's in data intensive industries like media, finance, tech. Those are the ones that have been advertising and all those things that have been the heaviest users and most heavily influenced by technology. The where there is a hard physical things like construction, mining, you know, oil and gas. Uh, those are the kind of industries where technology has not really made a very dramatic fundamental impact yet. So all those industries that have not been, that have so far not been transformed by the use of technology. Technology has appeared on the edges. There's SAP for ERP that takes care of this, this, and this, but the core functions are the way they have been for a long, long time. But now I think there is an opportunity to transform the core also with the use of technology, particularly with artificial intelligence.
Okay. Okay. Uh, so when we are scaling in business as its initial market, for example, small market like Australia or few other places, what are the main pain points normally founders like come across? They can't even think of initially.
That really is a very, very situation specific thing. The pain, definition of pain for different industries is different. In some cases, reducing the amount of drudgery that's involved is improvement. In some cases, eliminating white collar workers is the requirement. In some cases, uh, in some cases, establishing a source of truth that the entire company can rely on is important. And efficiency overall, productivity efficiency overall, is in general cuts across. But I was talking to a very, with the chief information officer of a big bank here, and I was talking to him about how is he adopting artificial intelligence in his enterprise. And he says, my message has been very clear. Don't come to me with AI solutions that improve my business or find a new revenue model or find this. Just come to me with only those solutions that eliminate white collar jobs.
So where all those engineers will go?
Well, I think it's like when the horse-drawn chariots got replaced by cars. All the people you see who knew how to do horse-drawn carriages, they figured out some other things to do,
Sure.
and they ended up better off than they were before.
Hopefully.
I remember, you see, in my village, I grew up in a very small village in Chhattisgarh,
Okay.
and I remember that when uh, there was a small, it's not a big river, it was but in rainy season it became quite big, and you have to use there were a lot of the boats, and people would ferry you from uh, one edge to the other. And then there was proposal to build a bridge across so that even in rainy season, you see, people could go across. And all the boatmen, they were very, very upset, and they threatened to go on strike. because that will eliminate, use for them.
Yes.
I don't know what happened to them, but ultimately the bridge was built.
Yeah, have to. Have to. Yes, they will find something else, definitely. Maybe
Yeah, yeah.
in a
It is
selling team.
disruptive to their
Yeah.
life in the short term, uh, but uh, but but the progress tends to be relentless.
Yes, true. True. What is the ideal exit strategy? Because in startup world, that's another buzzword. I still don't understand whether it is very much required to talk about from the very first day, but some people they do. So, so what is the ideal exit strategy? It is IPO, acquisition, sustainable growth.
There's no ideal. In fact, when you are starting out, that is so far away.
Yes,
Uh, that is so far away that I think right now the focus really should be on getting the first 10 customers.
yes,
When you are starting out, I think if you have a reasonable path to getting to first 10 paying customer, and then taking it from 10 to 100 customers, and then taking it from 100 to 1,000 customers. And I think that's what you see people should focus on. And and at some point, it becomes obvious whether would someone would come and acquire you, or whether you have enough enough of a growth and momentum, is to go public and thrive as a public company.
right, right. As
It's living,
I,
it's
sorry,
looking too far into the future to think about exit strategy when you are starting out. I think your existential question for a startup should be, how do I get the 10 paying customers?
as I work in mental health, early intervention, digitization in Australia, where market is very, regulated and a lot of conservatism is there. What is the best way to align product development and this slow moving reality so that startups don't run out of time and resources? I'm not talking about Australia. In some India, also, some of my friends are doing it. They're also complain sometimes on this.
Yeah, no, I think again, that's very specific kind of a thing, very company specific, very market specific situation. So it's hard to give a general answer. But in general, my advice to all the startup founders is that they should take time out uh, for their mental health, and they should, they should figure out, some combination of meditation, some combination of walk in the nature, some combination of, uh, my favorite this thing used to be get into the car, even if it's not driving anywhere, get into the car, put the radio on, and sing along full throttle, full throttle at some song that you like. You do it for 15 minutes and you feel so much better after that.
Mm,
So, stress management for founders is extremely critical because the entire world is aligned against them. Entire world is aligned against them. If it was such an easy thing to do, somebody would have done it. So, obviously, what they're doing is something unconventional,
mm,
not mainstream.
mm, mm.
So people you see who are you see part of the mainstream poo-poo the idea. They don't believe in it. So they are far more naysayers than believers. And all these things create stress. And the success is not a straight line.
Yes,
So I think it's very important for founders to develop, this thing techniques. If you're not resilient, if you're not born resilient enough, you have to learn the technique to become resilient.
yes, yes. So that, things will flower in its own time, kind of thing. Yes, you
Yeah,
do whatever necessary or whatever best you can do
yeah,
at any
yeah,
given situation.
yeah.
Okay. How Australian startups can start talking to Silicon Valley fundings?
I think it's not possible to do remotely.
Right.
I think they have to come and they have to camp out here for a while, and just even if they know one person, use that person to make five intros, And out of those five, you see, two of them will make another five intros each. And that's the way to go. I mean, there's no shortcut to it.
Right. So basically, from distance, it is hard.
It's very
Um,
hard, very
yeah, it is
hard.
very hard. So it's again, it comes down to that networking and that face-to-face talking and relationship building.
Absolutely.
It comes down to that, definitely.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yes, yes. Okay, so we are almost end to our conversation. The last thing I would like to ask you, because you are much ahead in life from us. So, with your all your experience and wisdom, please give us some advice for the youths who are working in this entrepreneurship journey, midway, starting, whatever space they are in. What are the things they should look for another 2 decades to go?
That's really a hard question. Uh, I'm not generally good at giving advice. Uh, I, yeah, I don't know. I think one thing that I have tried in my life to stay curious and uh, and learn every single day. And that alone is he has provided me over time conviction to change course and radically change course. You said I used to be a civil service guy in India. I'm an electronics engineer who never worked as an electronics engineer even for a day. I joined civil service. I came here, did my graduate course at MIT, and then worked in a number of different big companies and startups. And then one day decided that I want to be a VC. And sometimes in my career, radical changes, and uh, it requires, and it's because you see, you're curious, you're always asking questions, and uh, and you're not afraid, you see, to uh, there are always risks involved, but you are willing to take the plunge, and you need to have the support of your family
Oh,
behind
yes.
you.
Oh, yes.
Uh,
That's a big thing.
yeah, you have to have the support structure and family, uh, behind you to do that. So that's one thing that I'll say. The other thing I'll say is that the world is really approaching the era of infinite possibilities. And that's something very, very new for the world, where it won't be this thing of scarcity. It would be it would be a world of plenty, and the innovation, the scale of the speed of innovation in all these areas is only accelerating. Whether it is in medicine, and life sciences, and healthcare, whether it is in look at any industry. Every industry is going through a lot of changes,
Mhm. Mhm.
and changes only in times of change are opportunities. If you look at the billionaires in the tech industry, if you look at if you look at the richest people in the history of the world, they all happened, you see, at the time of fundamental disruption, which was one was industrial revolution. Well, that's when all the Carnegies and the Mellons and the Rockefellers and all those guys that came. The next big one was the tech revolution with personal computers, and that's when Steve Jobs and Bill Gates they happened. Then the internet happened. Then came so internet created Jeff Bezos. It created Zuckerberg. It created Elon Musk. It created all the Google guys. So only at the time of massive change, massive opportunities are created.
Yeah.
So this is really an era of massive change.
And like last one, it's definitely US kind of started this whole cycle. Last one, last to last one. This new thing also, do you believe that this US thing will also happen, like US already started AI revolution, and all these cycles will come from US, or because it is so rapidly spreading across the world, maybe from another parts of the world, something um, earth-shattering also can come.
So far, if you look at the last 50 years, if you look at the top 50 technology companies, uh, Europe has contributed only two of them.
Yeah. Yep.
And uh, and most of the innovation has come from US. And it has come from the US primarily because it has the right ingredients for making those big bets, which is it attracts talents from all over the world. It has world-class universities where cutting-edge research is taking place. And it has investors who are willing to bet on ideas that would be seen as crazy in the rest of the world. And that's why, and that is why I see US has a US has, continues to have an edge, and that's remarkable. It's really remarkable that no other country has been able to catch up to the culture of innovation that US has set in motion. The US politics is very dysfunctional, but it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter because the culture of innovation is such that it keeps producing, you see, uh, you know, uh, huge wealth in the country.
Mhm. All right. So on that, as you know, if you want to unzip your preconceived notion, recharge your energy, and live life in your own terms, this is the right place for you. So this is URL podcast. With that, Venki, we should end here. Thank you for your time. Thank you for your wisdom. We will talk about something else in future with you.
Great. Good talking to you. I enjoyed this conversation.
Thank you. Thank you, sir.